Before we begin, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with all your friends, okay? Good. Welcome back to another election night in America. Welcome back to another election night in America. And it's election night 2024. You can see here on your screen, there's just a picture of the White House that we have here. And Joe Biden is running for his second term. And Nikki Haley is running against him to see if they can steal some of the Democratic vote and win the election this time. Let's go to our battleground polls. The polls in here are the polls. So in North Carolina, Biden up by 5.4%. In Florida, Biden up by 3.6%. And in Georgia, Biden up by 1.2%. So we know last time Georgia all expectations, but especially Georgia. Remember, none of us expected it to go blue. The other ones we expected to go blue, but this one went blue. So let's just see how it paints out through the night. Anyway, you have some more polls out of some more southern areas. In Nevada, Biden plus 7.6. In Texas, Trump plus 2.9. In Arizona, Trump plus 4.3. And in the blue wall, in Pennsylvania, Biden plus 5.5. In Wisconsin, Biden plus 3.8. And in Michigan, Biden plus 6.9. Seems pretty good for Biden, but anything could change. There have been bigger polling errors in the past. In the state of Iowa, Trump plus 4.5. In Minnesota, it is Biden plus 10.6. In New Hampshire, it is Biden plus 12.3. And in Ohio, it's Trump plus 3.6. In the state of New Mexico, it is Biden plus 14.6. In Colorado, it is Biden plus 13.9. And in Virginia, it is Biden plus 15.5. That would mean safe margins. So anyway, we have our 7 p.m. poll closings here with the states of Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, and the state of Vermont. So first of all, in Vermont, Joe Biden will win their 3 electoral votes. As you can see, 0% of recent reporting. Enough, though, that we can know that Biden will definitely win the state. And in Kentucky, we can definitely now project that Nikki Haley will win that state. And we can also project that Nikki Haley will win the state of Indiana. We can project that in South Carolina, it is too early to call. A big lead for Biden, but this is how it always is. Every election night year, South Carolina usually reports their blue counties first. They're usually the first to report. So this number is supposed to definitely go down through the night. And probably flip. And in Georgia, it is too early to call once again with a big lead for Biden, 10.3%, with 11% of precincts reporting. In Virginia, it is actually Haley. It's the opposite in Virginia of South Carolina. Nikki Haley up by 8.3 there, with 16% of precincts reporting. And on our road to 270. This might be a little confusing, but the colors of yellow mean too close to call. That might go away through the night, meaning because we might just stop using that feature. In red is Republican and blue is obviously Democrat. So as you can see, Vermont is blue, Kentucky and Indiana are red, South Carolina and Georgia and Virginia are too early to call. Anyway, with our 7:30 p.m. on the East poll closings from the states of Ohio, West Virginia, and the state of North Carolina. In West Virginia, we can now project that Nikki Haley will win the state of West Virginia. In Ohio, it is too early to call with a big lead for Biden. Similar situation in Ohio like it is in South Carolina and Georgia. There's 17 electoral votes up per state, losing one in the 2020 census. This is kind of the opposite state of Ohio, both in the way that it's gained electoral vote and that Democratic counties, or Republican counties at least this time, are reporting first, with a more than 36.3% lead for Nikki Haley. And in the state of South Carolina, we can now project that Nikki Haley will, with 29% of precincts reporting and with a lead of 8.3, wow, there are a lot of .3s in here, wow, will win the state of South Carolina and on our road to 270. We have a couple more states called in here. South Carolina and West Virginia are called in red, and we still have only Vermont in blue. We have now our 8 p.m. on the east, 5 on the west, poll closing time, meaning we have poll closings from the states of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. In Maryland, we can now project that Joe Biden will win he will win the 10 electoral votes of the state of Maryland. In New Jersey, Joe Biden will pull ahead and win those 14 electoral votes, easily winning the state of New Jersey. In Massachusetts, Joe Biden will win the state of Massachusetts with its 11 electoral votes. In Delaware, Joe Biden will win the state of Delaware and its 3 electoral votes. In the state of Rhode Island, it lost an electoral vote. Now the state with the biggest landmass has the same amount of electoral votes as the state with the smallest landmass. We are now projecting Rhode Island for Joe Biden. And we are now projecting, this is the most liberal place in the country, D.C., 3 electoral votes go to Joe Biden. Last time it went by more than 90%. So we'll see how that paints out through the night. Anyway, even though it's already been called. Alabama, I'm sorry, it should say that Nikki Haley's winning. Some technical difficulties happens every single election year. There's something wrong. Alabama's 8 electoral votes go to Nikki Haley with 0% of precincts reported. 8 electoral votes lost one in the 2020 census. And in Mississippi, Nikki Haley will win their 6 electoral votes. Biden has the lead, but with all the polling data and just how it's gone historically, we can project that it will 100% go to Nikki Haley on this November night. And in the state of Tennessee, Nikki Haley will win the state of Tennessee. It looks extremely lopsided. It'll obviously get much closer, but it's not going to flip. We know that even if it's only won by 0.1%, that it will definitely stay red, but it will probably be much more than that. In the state of Oklahoma, every single county went to Donald Trump in 2020 and 2016, and their 7 electoral votes will go to Nikki Haley. I'm so sorry about that. Tongue twister. Anyway, in the state of Kansas, it is Nikki Haley will win the state of Kansas, even though she's behind by 0.6%, with 8% of precincts reporting. We can report, like in Mississippi, that she will go on to later in the night get ahead and get a good lead there in the state of Kansas. In the state of Missouri, it is too early to call. Joe Biden with a big lead, projected to get much closer. Let's say he somehow wins the state, which is very unlikely. He will not win it by much. And now we have a key race alert. The state of New Hampshire is going to Joe Biden. Sorry for the technical difficulties once again. In the state of Ohio, Nikki Haley will win their 17 electoral votes. expected to narrow out, but still going Republican. In Michigan, it is too early to call. We can note almost a 16-point lead for Nikki Haley. Could be similar to what happened in 2020. We're not sure. We think it's going to narrow up, but who knows? Well, I mean, yeah, okay. In Pennsylvania, very similar thing. 11% of precincts reporting 19 electoral votes lost when in the 2020 census. Their 19 electoral votes are too early to call. Almost more than a 15-point lead for Nikki Haley. Keep stuttering, Not stuttering, but no matter, okay. In Florida, it is too early to call, but we can note a 6-point lead for Nikki Haley, with 46% of precincts reporting. In Texas, this is for the battleground for the first time in years, with 32% of precincts reporting, and it gained 3 electoral votes in the 2020 census, making an even bigger prize. We still have more than a 10-point lead for Nikki Haley. In Illinois, we can project Joe Biden the winner in Illinois with 19% of precincts reporting. In Maine, there are 3 out of their 4 electoral votes. They split their vote into an at-large vote in 2 districts. Their electoral votes will go to Joe Biden. In Connecticut, their 7 electoral votes will also go to Joe Biden, with 34% of precincts reporting. And on our road to 270 tonight, as you can see, a lot of our map filling out tonight. As you see, Illinois in the Midwest and in the South, and in that blue wall right over there, red wall, I mean, that whole area is usually the red wall. With Texas possibly being able to be flipped this time, we're not sure how that's going to paint out, but anyway. So that's what's going on here on our electoral map. Look at it for yourself, and a lot of places here filled out on the Northeast, the original part of the United States. Anyway, we have our 8:30 p.m. poll closings from the one state of Arkansas. And now we can project that Arkansas will go to Nikki Haley. And we have a key race alert. We can now project Virginia is too early to call. We know a very narrowing up. Only about a 7-point lead for Nikki Haley now, with 63% of precincts reporting. Anyway, in North Carolina, 16 electoral votes. Still too early to call. We still note that it is a tiny lead for Joe Biden now, 49.4% to 48.7%, meaning that it's only a 0.7% lead. Pretty sure that's what Joe Biden won Wisconsin by back in 2020. With 56% of precincts reporting. Anyway, narrowing up in Florida, 31 electoral votes, 59% of precincts reporting. Hey, this one could flip. Last time it was the Latino voters in that message of socialism from Donald Trump, which really flipped them a lot. That message was not expected to, but really resonated with them in 2020. But it seems to be that might not happen this year, but we're not so sure yet. There are 31 electoral votes are too early to call. Anyway, in Michigan, now there's an error. It is supposed to say that it's 54 for Haley, 54.7 for Nikki Haley, and 44.2 for Biden, but that is a technical difficulty, with 39% of precincts reporting in their 15 electoral votes, losing one in the 2020 census. Still too early to call. And on our road to 270 tonight, just for this time, we're using a different format. And we can now see that Joe Biden has 80 electoral votes, and Nikki Haley with 103 electoral votes. It's supposed to say 103, and another technical difficulty. Well, whoever programmed this was, well, let's just say not that smart. So, meaning that was me, so yeah. Okay. New York, Louisiana, 9 p.m. poll closings with New York, Louisiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, both of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and the state of Arizona. Swing state this time. In New York, we can easily goes to Joe Biden. Only state that loses more than one electoral vote in the 2020 census, but still easily going to Joe Biden. And in Nebraska, we can predict that 4 of their 5 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump, and not Donald Trump, Nikki Haley. I'm sorry, getting confused since that was one of the VP picks that she was going to do, and 2020 election stuff. So that is going to Nikki Haley, with the only other state that splits their electoral votes into districts. 3 congressional districts in that state, the 1st and 3rd, and the at-large vote there, which was worth 2 electoral votes, going to Nikki Haley. And in North Dakota, their 3 electoral votes will easily go to Nikki Haley. And the same deal with South Dakota, their 3 electoral votes going to Nikki Haley. And in Wyoming, same deal here, 3 electoral votes going to Nikki Haley. Donald Trump's biggest win margin in 2020 and 2016. In Louisiana, this race easily goes to Donald Trump, and a key race alert. In Maine, we can now project that their 2nd district, Maine's 2nd district, will now be projected to go to Nikki Haley. And in Virginia, there are 13 electoral votes now, with more precincts reporting from the north in Fairfax County. We can now project that Joe Biden will win the state of Virginia, with 93% of precincts reporting anyway. Ooh, this is going to hurt. In Texas, 41 electoral votes, the 2nd biggest surprise. Surprisingly a swing state this time, but still going to Nikki Haley. It is expected to narrow up whatsoever, but it is enough of a lead that we can now project it for Nikki Haley. 86% of precincts reporting anyway. We can now project that Nebraska's 2nd congressional district will go to Joe Biden, with 43% of precincts reporting there. In Wisconsin, it is too early to call. We know a slight lead for Nikki Haley, but it's only not until 1% of precincts reporting will there be numbers show. Anyway, that's Wisconsin. In Minnesota, their 9 electoral votes, used to be 10, are still too early to call, with the slight lead for Haley and for Biden. In Arizona, we project that it is too early to call, with a 8.7% lead for Joe Biden, with 34% of precincts reporting in Arizona. In New Mexico, Joe Biden will win New Mexico, with 12% of precincts reporting. In Colorado's 10 electoral votes, Joe Biden will win over Colorado, and with 7% of precincts reporting. And on our road to 270, you will see a lot filling in now, as you can see those areas in that red wall. And in the south here, with more of the northeast getting covered, with New York being a big land. And here, Colorado, New Mexico wall, Wyoming, and you know the rest, of course. Anyway, Ohio's supposed to be covered there. I think it might accidentally have not been calculated by the machine. Anyway, just another technical difficulty, as you know. Anyway, in the states of Montana, which now splits their votes up into congressional districts, not so much going to be that different this time, but maybe in 2028 in Iowa, Utah, and Nevada also. Poll closings at this time at 10 p.m. on the east, 7 on the west. In Montana, there are 4 electoral votes. It is a split vote. It should say split vote. And their 2nd district is so competitive, but it will be called later in the night. 3 out of 4 electoral votes in Montana going to Nikki Haley. Anyway, in Utah, there's 6 electoral votes will go to Nikki Haley. In Iowa, there's 6 electoral votes will go to Nikki Haley, former swing state, not so much this time. And a key race alert. In Wisconsin, Joe Biden will win Wisconsin, with 97% of precincts reporting. In Nevada, Joe Biden will win Nevada's 6 electoral votes, with 24% of precincts reporting. Florida, Joe Biden will win, not Joe Biden. Nikki Haley will win Florida's 31 electoral votes. Wow, that is not a good sign for the Democrats. But in North Carolina, this is something good for the Democrats. There's 16 electoral votes this time. After a long fight to make the state solidly blue, Obama won it back in 2008, but by very narrow margins. The same amount that Joe Biden won Arizona in 2020, but at the same time, North Carolina flipping solidly, or more, at least more solidly, to Joe Biden. So he wins North Carolina's 16 electoral votes. Anyway, in Georgia, it is too close to call. 94% of precincts reporting. We might get into a similar situation like 2020 here, where it's extremely, extremely close and it never gets past this. It might expand for Biden or Haley. I'm not sure. No one's sure at this point, to be honest. But Georgia's 16 electoral votes are too close to call, and on the road to 270. Here, when you see a lot filling in on our electoral map. Sorry, we switched to a lighter blue this time. But anyway, here you go. You see a couple of areas here, and here, and in the Midwest, a couple of areas filling in. Just so you can take a look for yourself. So you can see there's a little more blue and a little more red. So you can see the Republicans could lose with many more states than Democrats, though, since they have a lot of those states that are big with less population. Anyway, we have our 11 p.m. poll closings. Anyway, we have poll closings from the state of Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, and the state of Hawaii. In California, Joe Biden is the projected winner, easily taking the state of California. In Oregon, Joe Biden is projected to win Oregon's 8 electoral votes. It gained an electoral vote in the 2020 census, but it goes to Joe Biden. In Washington, their 12 electoral votes will go to Joe Biden. Joe Biden sweeping the West Coast, as someone on NBC said in 2020. Well, Joe Biden is winning the state of Washington. And in Hawaii, Joe Biden will win the state of Hawaii, easily taking their 4 electoral votes. In Idaho, their 4 electoral votes are going to Nikki Haley, easily going to Nikki Haley on this November 9th. Anyway, let's go on to some more calls. In Alaska, their 3 electoral votes will go to Nikki Haley on this November evening. November 5th to be exact. And we have a key race alert. In Arizona, Joe Biden will win the state of Arizona with 98% of precincts reporting. This might be a bigger margin, and it will probably become a bigger margin than in 2020. A victory for Joe Biden with their 12 electoral votes. Anyway, in the state of Michigan, wow, big necessary win for the Democrats. 52.1% going for Joe Biden, 56.9% going for Nikki Haley. This state has flipped like it did in 2020 into the Democratic column. In my flip, I mean at the beginning of the night was red, and then as absentee ballots came in. I should say something about that actually to you guys. Since Joe Biden cured the pandemic easily, like within the first year in office, as we all, of course, all know, since that's gone on, COVID is pretty much, we've gone back to like normal, of course, but there's still a lot of balloting, absentee balloting, which still will probably for decades that will benefit the Democrats because of all the things that Donald Trump said. But anyway, Joe Biden will win the state of Michigan, losing an electoral vote, but still winning that state. And we can now project Joseph Robinette Biden will get re-elected president. This is going to, even though not as big, this is going to be a historic day in history. Joe Biden will be re-elected president. Not, of course, as historic as getting elected, but anyway, we have a couple more state calls for you. In the state of Pennsylvania, Joe Biden will win their 19 electoral votes. In the state of Ohio, Nikki Haley will win their electoral votes. Obviously, you see it narrowing up. Remember when I said it'd go up into the machine? That's what I meant. And let me just go back to Pennsylvania. You have to see something about that. You look at that margin of victory there. That is a big margin of victory. And that is the final score. I mean, it could go down to like 50.1 or 47.5 or whatever, but that is the final margin. And that is big because Pennsylvania in the past has been more safe like this usually. But anyway, there are 19 electoral votes. And I already said Ohio. In the state of Georgia, Joe Biden wins Georgia with 100% of precincts reporting, and in the battleground state of, and this is our final electoral map. This is the 2016 electoral map with one flip from 2020. That was 2020, I mean, and this is the one flip state of North Carolina. Anyway, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this video with all your friends. Let me know if you liked it in the chat.